welcome to BHC today. I'm Pastor Dave, so glad you've joined me for these few minutes on Monday, August the 15th. August is almost halfway gone, and it's just great to be with you for these few minutes. These last 2 weeks, Pastor Rob has addressed through the book of Hebrews, chapter 11, what is faith? He's made reference to Abraham, he's made reference to Moses, he's made reference to Joshua, he's made reference to Gideon, and many others, all who lived lives of faith. And there's one other aspect that sometimes we don't think about too much, and their lives of faith. Not too much is written about it, but they were human like us, and fear had to play a part in their life. The temptation to give in to fear, the temptation to, for Abraham, the temptation to not believe God and be fearful of what this journey to the land of Ur would be. And he didn't. He followed our Lord by faith, but fear had to be a great temptation, and there may have been times during it that he did feel fear, but didn't express it. He didn't act on it. For Moses, there had to be quite a number of times because the guy didn't like public speaking. He didn't enjoy a lot of things that leaders are called to express. And so he had to have times where he was tempted to give into great fear, but he did not. The same for Joshua, the same for Gideon, and the same for us. Fear is a complicated factor of our lives. It's primarily driven by the desire to preserve what we believe to be true or what we believe to be safe, what we think will provide contentment. And fear is an emotion. It's something we feel that comes over us. And it's easy to give into it. Fear can be driven by our sense of mortality. And certainly we have the desire to preserve what is as human beings. But fear can be the factor that robs us of a life of buoyant and strong faith. Doesn't mean we won't always be tempted to. Even those who live by faith, all of us, fear can gnaw away at what we can enjoy by faith. Jesus calls us to live by faith and certainly not by fear. A few weeks ago, Pastor Randy and I had a project that we needed to do together, and that was changing lights in the upper regions of the sanctuary. Because he's a little bit younger than me, he opted to go up to the top using our lift, our power lift. And so you see some pictures of him doing that, and it looks like he's way up there, and he is, and far, far away. You know, certainly by faith, Pastor Randy got into the lift, believing that he would be safe as he went to the top. Could he have lived in fear? Yes, he could have. Could he lived in debated the time whether or not he would be able to come back down with the lift work when it was time to come down? Would he have be able to stay safe while he was up there? Well, by faith and not by fear, he went to the height. You can see how high he is. The bulbs were changed. Sometimes the bulbs didn't want to be changed because more has to be done. But by faith, Pastor Randy changed the light bulb. And in some cases, we were able to have light. More may be needed for some, but he could have lived in fear and not done it. Thankfully, as you have seen these last weeks, he succeeded, he came back down, and we were good. Fear. It's an experience of the human emotion that we do not want to give into. Today, what is it that you fear the most? What is it that is keeping you from stepping out in faith on any variety of things in your life? What is it that is keeping you tethered to that fear factor? Or what is it you're being tethered to by fear that you just don't want to go any further with it? God has good and wonderful plans for your life. And sometimes we rob ourselves of His blessing by simply not stepping out in faith, but living in fear, living in a world of protection that we think we're protected. And the reality is there's no experience that a human being has, whether they're living in isolation at home, that can protect you from what might happen, what could happen. I could be very afraid right now that I may not be able to take the next breath, or that my heart could stop beating. Well, it might, but by faith, I'm going to keep living. By faith, we're going to move ahead. And what God has in store for you in your life of faith is nothing short of eternal and phenomenal, and His blessing to your heart and life. So let's not live by fear. Let's live by faith, like the great men and women of the Bible did, and the great women of faith that we're surrounded by today. Let us choose to live by faith. Have a wonderful day, and God bless you. Bye now.